Good morning, children. How are you, ma? Fine. Okay. Uh, Already I have sent you a video on food components, and then that regarding to Saptagiri channel, and then other one also I have sent you. I think you have all have seen that. Okay. So already I sent you some pictures of food components. Today I am going to give some important points regarding food components. See, once food components. This is a first lesson in 7th class. So, what is meant by food? What is food? Food is the source of energy. How do you get food? Or where do you get food? We get food from animals or plants or some other. For example, we get some food material from the animals. What are the examples? Yes, milk products. Okay, these are all. Chicken, meat, eggs. These are all also from animals. As which food material we get from plants? Leaf vegetables, fruits, vegetables. So these are the plant material we get from the plants. What about the other food we get from other source? No, salt we get from salt water from oceans or seas. So these are the food. These are the food material we get from different sources. So what is the food? Food is the source of energy. So we eat food, we get energy. By using that energy, we can perform different functions. Am I right? Okay. In our daily life functions, we perform. Now, what is meant by food components? You know, different food materials are there in food. We see different components. What components may be there in food? Yes, exactly right. Carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, and water also. These are the components which are present in food. That's why we call them as food components. So, let me tell about one by one. First one, what is that called? Carbohydrate. Carbohydrates. Second one is proteins. Third one is fats. Fourth one is vitamins. Fifth one is minerals. One more is there. What is that? Fibers. Fibers. These are also called as roughages. Last one is water. So these are the components which are present in our food. Daily we eat some food material. In such food, we see we get this type of components. These are also called as nutrients. So food gives us nutrients. By that nutrients, we perform some our daily functions, or we get healthy. So that's why you have to take the food which should be contain all the components. Now we are going to see source of these components. Where do you get these components? From different food material. So now what are the source of the carbohydrates? That means from which food material we get carbohydrates? So mainly from rice, that means cooked rice, or wheat, potato, so etc. All the cereals, millets, they contain mostly carbohydrates. So which food material to taste is sweet, they should contain carbohydrates most probably. So these are the source of the carbohydrates. What is the importance of the carbohydrates? Why we need carbohydrates to our body? Yes, to get energy we need carbohydrates. So by using that energy we perform daily functions. Okay, next, what are the source of the proteins? That means where do we get from proteins? So mainly pulses, we call them as pulses. So examples are red grams, green grams, black grams, Bengal grams. These are all the source of proteins. So mainly pulses, in Telugu we call them as pappu dinusulu. So these pulses, they contain mostly proteins. So what is the importance of the proteins? Why we need proteins? So what is the importance of the proteins? The importance of the proteins is the proteins are the growing material. That means which we eat, by eating of the protein content material, food material, then we get so proteins, and then they are help to us to grow. So growing children, you are the growing children, you have to take a major amount of the protein content food material. So proteins are also called as building blocks. So next one is what is the source of fats? So these are the mainly oil content food is the main source of the fats. So oil, so the oil seeds are there, groundnuts, sunflower seeds, coconuts. These are the source of the fats. Fats, they give much energy. So that's why fats, we have to take fats less amount, that means low amount of the fats in our daily diet. So if we take much amount of fat content food material, then we become stout. That means we get obesity disease. So that is not good for our health. So that's why you have to take fats in low quantity. So next one, what are the source of the vitamins? Vitamins source are the mainly vegetables and fruits. That's why you have to eat everyday vegetable curries, leaf vegetables, and then fruits, eggs, milk, meat, chicken, fish. They have vitamins. So these are the source of the vitamins. Now fat sources, oil seeds, and then chicken, meat, and then fish also, they have oil content. So that is the vitamins. What is the importance of the vitamins? If we do not take vitamins content food material, what happens? We get unhealthy. So we will get illness. That means so lack of the vitamins, our body gets diseases, some diseases. That's why to keep our body healthy, we have to take vitamins content food material. Next one, minerals. Where do we get from minerals? So we get minerals from the vegetables, leaf vegetables, and fruits. So these are the source of the minerals. Milk also have some minerals. So mainly, already daily we eat sodium chloride, rock salt, that is also called table salt. Salt we eat, we add salt in our curries, different food items, no? So salt is the important one food component in our diet. So if you lack of the minerals in our food content, what happens? So body function is somewhat different. That means common metabolism may get some disturbed. So functioning of our body, well, we need some minerals. Functioning of our brain, we need some minerals. Sodium ions, potassium ions, chloride ions, these are the ions we need. That's why we have to take a mineral content food material. Next, what about the fibers content food? So what is the importance of the fibers? Fibers are also a kind of carbohydrates, but they are not digestible. So how they help to us? How they help to our body? They help to our body, they easily movable of the digestive food in our digestive tract, that means alimentary canal. So these are also called as roughages. Fibers also called as roughages. So we have to take fiber content food material. What are the source of the roughages? Mainly vegetables, fruits like orange, fruit, and then different fruits, and then vegetables like drumsticks, beans, okay, leaf vegetables, they also contain fiber content. Next one, but not least one, so water. What is the importance of the water? Where do we get from water? In every food material some water content is there, no? So this water is very important in our body. That means in our body, in our body different cells are there, no? Our body is made up of cells. Cell is the basic unit of life. So body is made up of cells. In cell content is there, no? That is called as cytoplasm or protoplasm. In that also we see 70% of the water. That means in our body weight, water is major part. That water has major weight. From every, I think more majority of the food material they contain water content. So that's why water is very important. Easily digestible the food, live cell of the, to keep the cells alive, we need water. Okay, so how much of water we have to take for a day? 5 liters for a day. So these are the food components, their importance and their source. Next one, what are the tests? Different tests are there, no? To identify the food which contain carbohydrates or proteins or vitamin, fats. So now different tests are there. Tests to identify the food components. Tests. Test for first one, test for carbohydrates. Test for carbohydrates. Test for carbohydrates. What is the test we use to identify the carbohydrates present in our body? Present in our food. Which test we use? Yes, exactly right. We have to use the iodine test. For example, our food material contain carbohydrates. That is also called as starch. It is a polysaccharide. Okay, starch. To starch, that means in our food starch is there. To that starch we add iodine solution. Then what happen? Iodine solution is chemical. Then what happens? Immediately that turns into which color? Blue color or dark blue color? Blue color or dark blue color? is a test to identify the starch or carbohydrates which are present in our food content. Next, test for proteins. Proteins. Which test to use to identify the proteins present in our food content? So the test is how to add to our food content which has protein to that. Yes, alkali solution. That means hydroxide solution. That means maybe sodium hydroxide solution and then copper sulfate solution. Now take a protein content food material. So 10 ml of protein content. How to take 10 ml of protein content food. Protein content food. To that we have to add so 10% of sodium hydroxide plus 0.5% of what? Copper sulfate, CuSO4. Then what happens? Then what happened? So copper sulfate, CuSO4. So immediately that turns to purple color or violet color. Then we may say that the food contain so protein. Next, test for fats. Which test to use for fats? Test for fats. Oil paper test. That means you have to take any oil food, you have to keep it on a white paper or any paper. Then what happens? That white paper becomes translucent. That means semi-transparent. You know that based on the yellowness of the light, the substance are three kinds. One is a transparent, second one is semi-transparent, that is also called as translucent, third one is opaque. You know, the substance which allows the light when you pass through it, that is a transparent. Example, glass. When you pass through the light, if it allows partially, then it is termed as semi-transparent or translucent. Example, you know, oil paper or rough glass. Third one is opaque. When you pass through the light, it doesn't allow the light. That is called opaque substance. So when you take any oil food, like take a bhaji, keep it on white paper, then immediately that turns where we keep that oil food, there we see the paper becomes oily. So when you keep it or when you focus the light passes through it partially, then the termed as translucent. So these are the tests for the identification of the components like carbohydrates, proteins, fats which are present in our food. Next topic is balanced diet. So when you say our food is balanced diet, or complete food. When you say what is meant by balanced diet, our food material contain, we are taking daily food material, that food material contain, that food material should contain all the components what I said before, mean carbohydrates, proteins, fats, roughages, vitamins, minerals, water. These components should be present in required amount based on their age, based on their functioning of the body and physique. So then that should said to be balanced diet. Our food material contain all the nutrients in the required amount, then that's said to be balanced diet. So that is a complete food. If food doesn't contain all the nutrients in the required amount, that is called imbalanced diet. That leads to the malnutrition. That malnutrition causes some diseases. You know that in our food, lack of proteins, we get kwashiorkor. In our food, lack of required amount of carbohydrates, proteins, we get marasmus disease. In our food, major quantity of the most quantity of the fats, high quantity of the fats are there, we get a disease that is called obesity. Okay, these are the diseases caused by malnutrition or imbalanced diet. That's why you have to take a everyday balanced diet that should contain all the nutrients in the required amount. Have you understand this? Yes. So this is about food components. Now next one is one more thing is the preservation of the food. Preservation of the food. Now after cooking of the food, you may take little amount and then we have to keep it for the next time or next dinner and next days. That's why you have to keep it food for some more days. You have to preserve it carefully. How do you preserve? How do you store the food material properly? So preservation of the food is also very important task. So by adding of oil, salt, and then sugar, and then that means sugar syrup, honey or turmeric powder. By adding this material, we keep the food material for some days. That means we store, different chutneys are there, how do you preserve that? By adding oil. Different jangri or some food materials are there. How do you store them for some more days? By adding sugar syrup. So like that, by adding turmeric powder, by adding salt, we store the food material for some more days. This is a preservation. If we do not store food material properly, then they spoil the food material. So that's why we have to preserve the food material very carefully. If we do not preserve carefully, we waste the food material, then we have to expend much amount of money. So that is not good. That's why we have to store the food material properly. Next, we should not eat spoiled food. That may leads to the vomitings or diarrhea, different cholera, different diseases. So we become weak and sometimes we get death also. So this is the preservation of the food. So mostly most important points about food components. Already I have sent you pictures. So in the next class I will make another video for you on another lesson. Up to that you have to take these important points, write in your notes and prepare well, and then ready to wait for another class. And then you have to see Saptagiri channel, all the subjects. If you have any doubts, you can call to your subject teachers. Thank you. Have a nice day.